All right. Before I get started, I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakurash. All right. Which is all the glory to who the world ignorantly calls God. God, Yahweh, and is ignorantly called Jesus Christ. His true name is Yahweh Shai. In the name of the Holy Spirit, Rakak Wadash, a double honors unto my apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and safety to all the Sisakiam that's out here pushing this word in truth and in all sincerity. Shalom to you all, and shalom to you sincere sisters that are out here as well. All right. So back at it again. As the title of this says, we're about 100. It's about 100 days left, or I might gotta make sure I correct it. I might have put 2025, but whatever the case may be, going into the fact that there's about 100 days left in 2025. All right, give or take. It's probably more like 99, 98 at this point. Of me doing this lesson, but nevertheless, we'll just round up. There's about 100 days left in this year, and a lot has happened. All right, and there's room for a lot more to happen. But this is where people start to make their predictions, their forecast for next year, 2026. All right. And, the way things are looking, like I said, in my humblest measuring opinion of this, 2026 is evidently and obviously going to be an even more bitter experience for people. Right? For those that are, I was having a conversation the other day with this police officer. It was a good conversation. That's why I'm bringing it back up in the senses of, we came to the conclusion within our conversation that for the most part, those that handle the pandemic, if you understand what I'm saying, in 2019, 2020, those that handled it spiritual were all right. Those that handled it carnally, they suffered. And we were just talking about that concept and how, of course, I'm talking to an officer and I'm at work, so I'm not going to open up all the way that I would normally if I was talking to somebody that I know off the clock. But that whole situation 5-6 years ago was all a big beta test. It was a run. It's a big run. It was a trial run. And a lot of people failed miserably because this world is very carnal. These people are not spiritual. They don't know how to deal with certain issues spiritually. Most things they don't know how to deal with spiritually. But what do I mean by that? Me and the guy, we were focusing in on boredom. This place loves to keep you full with bread and circus, bullshit, fun, the food, all of these different elements keep people in a very docile state. That was then. Here we are now. And with these last 100 days in this year going into 2026, politically, people have never been more split than we are right now. Hence how the year is ending with the whole, Charlie Kirk situation, right? However that happened, what happened, that is for a whole nother discussion. But whatever the point of it all is that the media machine is telling us that he isn't here. and that somebody from the left allegedly took him out. And that is creating, which we see I see Isaiah the 19th chapter exploding more out of the books. For those that aren't familiar with Isaiah the 19th chapter, speaks about Egyptians against Egyptians and brother against brother. Okay? You Americans are the modern day Egyptians. Read Isaiah the 11th chapter, 11 and 8. This is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. You people which are Babylonians, are also Egyptians. Okay? So again, how's that going to get to the point of civil war? That's what I, as the Spirit is pushing me, that's what I really see coming in 2026. See, there's wars and then there's rumors of wars. You have big wars, you have little wars. John prophesied of, that's the Spirit inside that truck, 144. Ooh, all praise Yahweh Shem Shai. John prophesied of 3 woes, right? But there's other wars that's going to occur prior to that final woe. That final woe is the woe, which woe means destruction. That final woe, that war, is the final war before Babylon the Great ends, salvation, the establishing of the kingdom. But that Egyptian against Egyptian, which is civil war, could very well break out in the next 6 to 12 months. It has to happen. It will happen. It will happen. Okay? Civil war. When you read in 2nd Ezra, I want to say the 15th chapter, it speaks about neighbors against neighbors fighting with swords in their hands. That's your civil war. Civil war will break out in America very soon. We've been saying this for years, decades, starting with our apostles and elders. See, and our apostles was one of the first ones to clean that up, stating that this idea of race wars is not necessarily the kicker, the truth. There will be race based wars as well, race-based conflicts. That's not ignoring that, but we're in a time of where it's left versus right. You have black people on the left, you have right people on the left. You have white people on the left, you have white people on the right. That's the conflict, you guys. Thus saith the Bible. Egyptians shall rise up against Egyptians. Like I like to do, the new age, the 2025 translation of that should say Americans against Americans and brothers versus brothers. That's their civil war. Everything about the rest of this year will be about fanning the coals, fanning the fire of conflict in America. Everything. All right? That's what I believe in the Spirit has to pick up steam. All right? We understand greatly through the scriptures, major prophecy is what? Is the MOTB, right? The MOTB, which is the CHIP, is major biblical prophecy. The hour of temptation. The third woe, the war of Armageddon. Right? Those are the major prophecies that we're waiting for before we could cross over into to the kingdom of heaven. Those must be checked off. the chip and WW3. Okay? The hour of WW3, the chip, and the hour of temptation, Jacob's trouble, all of those go hand in hand with each other. Those go together. Now, again, building off of that point, Civil War is part of that. This place is split, y'all. And I saw it. We've been, like I said, saying this for years, decades at this point, starting with our apostles and elders. And I saw a video the other day. Now, again, let's be clear. Let's be sensible. Let's deal with this with wisdom. Let's deal with this with temperance, right? You have people that are agent provocateurs. You have people that are pushing a spirit on the earth, that are falsely pushing this vibration on people. And then there's also some people do feel like this. Do I know if this guy is either one? Time will tell, but there's a spirit to it. And he was speaking to the fact that at this point, he said after the whole Charlie Kirk situation occurred, he said at this, in his video on TikTok, at this point, I'm roughly paraphrasing, at this point, we should all just meet somewhere and fight it out. We'll never basically the point of agreeing to disagree is beyond that. And I spoke about that a few weeks ago. I'm driving, so I cannot go into it like I would want to. But when you go into the word debate, the word debate literally leads into quarrels, right? Disputes. See, verbal fights most of the time lead to physical fights. All that debating shit, right? Debating is really an off spirit. Don't get me wrong, there's quote unquote friendly debates. But even with us, we as brothers, we'll see it sometimes. Sometimes these friendly debates get a little too unfriendly. So then you gotta like check it, like, man, let's drop that shit, man. Before this gets ugly, right? That's what the left and the right, Democrats and Republicans, conservatives and liberals are experiencing. They've had all these debates. Y'all been talking your shit online for years. Saying this, saying that. Mr. Kirk was literally going around the country provoking debates. You see? I'm not even talking about whether you agree with him or disagree with him. That's actually irrelevant to what I'm speaking to right now. Liking him, disliking him, agreeing with him, disagreeing is irrelevant. What is being pushed in the media as what has happened, an event, this debating disputes, verbal disputes, has now went physical. So now what? You think everybody within these philosophy, schools of thoughts are all in a can't we all just get along? You think they're in that's a propaganda that was pushed on Negroes. Can't we all get along? That Martin Luther King, nonviolent stance. These so-called white people don't have a nonviolent stance. They're the only ones that get the excuse to be violent. You got to remember that. So they're going to use their excuse. They're going to use their ability. They're going to use that against each other. But then you got like I said, on one side, let's just say on your conservative red side, the right side, right? You got your Charleston Whites, your Candace Owens. You got a lot of different figures on that side as well, just as much as on the left. Your Amanda Seals. There's a lot of black people and brown people on both sides of this. But so just as much as in the Civil War of old, you had a lot of Negroes that fought on the Confederate side because they had investments in it, land, whatever history at the time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So again, it's the same issues, really the same players, same reasons. See, the Cold War within America, nobody ever speaks about, which is the Southern versus that red versus blue. See, it went from Southern and Union, or Confederacy and Union, to left and right. Left and right. Confederacy is the right. The Union is the left. Liberals and conservatives. All of this is the same shit. Just different players. But which are the same players. But that's another lesson in itself as well. Now, I'm about to close up here in a second. That's the spirit, because I really was just like, hey, let's just see where the spirit go with this. But this is where the spirit took it, is Civil War. Civil War. That's what's about to happen. The rest of this year will be used to bubble that energy up. That's what's going to happen. Trump is pushing towards his midterms. Granted, he's only been in a year, but what do you think their goal is? Their goal is to start focusing on midterms. Now, we know that this is his second term, but hey, things are going to start getting creative. Things are going to start getting interesting. And that's the spirit, man. That movie Civil War, might have to go back and revisit that. But that movie Civil War, the beginning parts of it started right here in Atlanta. Because if you understand the Civil War, like I'm a few streets over. As a matter of fact, I just drove over it actually. Memorial Drive. It's called Memorial Drive because this is where I want to say Robert E. Lee started his campaign of burning the South. All right. And he went from here, Atlanta, starting at Memorial Drive, went east towards Stone Mountain. And he took it and he went all the way east towards, I think he went all the way to Allendale in South Carolina, which Allendale was a major place for cotton. See, the same components are still laid, the same foundation. Understand that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this up here. I'm basically to my destination. But like I say, we're gonna give all the glory and honor to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. All right. You gotta remember, like I say, we're in a very tender and very interesting time. Very particular time. All right. Just because you aren't necessarily as invested in this as others does not mean that it's not happening. See, while you might care about this and care about that, and your mind is over here, and you're not really like too concerned about the political world, does not mean that the political world is not, things are not happening. Conflicts are not brewing. Issues are not presenting themselves. That's why you got to be mindful of what you say, what you like. Hey, I'll be real with you. I'm not even just like certain things. I'm being mindful of even liking it, you know? So yeah. So with that, I'm reached my destination. I'm going to go ahead and close this up. I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Makakwadash. Double honors unto my apostles, elders of Great Millstone.